welcome to the GSL Up and Down match Group D for Season 5 of Codes for 2012. I am Wolf, with me is Kaldor. Some of you guys watching today are not religious, some of you are, but many of you call him God. Flash will be playing today. We have Seed in the group as well, not to mention, of course, Supernova, Sirius. It's a sick lineup of players, man.
Yep. And Ryang to make the 5-player group complete. And the first game is actually going to be Seed versus Flash. So we have a former champion up against one of the best Brood War players ever. That's going to be a pretty good one, and of course a very anticipated match.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I mean, it's kind of funny that we have to start things off like this. We start with quite the bang. So get on Twitter right now. Tell all your friends. Get on Skype. Get on. You still use AOL Instant Messenger. All right, on that ICQ, on your IRC client,
Phone.
On your phone. Text your friends. Maybe get on MSN Messenger. Maybe Yahoo. Get on Mivit. All right. Get on Jabber. I want you to get on Google Talk.
You can just climb a tower and shout it down.
You can yell down the hallway. That is also fine.
Game number 1 will be Seed versus Flash, and the map is Abyssal City. So today's group, as Wolf already said, is starting off with a bang. The last few days have been really exciting. We had a lot of very good players advancing, and especially the 6-player group that we saw yesterday. That was a really, really intense one. In the end, it was a Terran and a Protoss player who advanced out of the group into Codes. Today, of course, we have 2 players that will end up in Codes as well. But let's have a quick look at yesterday's results.
Yep, here they are. 6-player group, a ton of matches. We had almost a close call there with a lot of ties at the end, but the development sorted out. Keen and Parting do advance. Very unfortunate, Beyond not quite able to do it.
And we of course have not a look in the future here. This was Group C, not D. Group D is going to be played today.
Don't be fooled by that. Now here we go. Will Flash continue the trend of Castle players not doing so hot in the groups, despite the fact that he's such a fan favorite here? We'll find out. He's up against Seed first up here. We have Supernova in the group, as well as Ryung, a top Terran player, and Sirius. Once again, the odd Zerg out.
Exactly, 1 Zerg, 1 Protoss, and 3 Terrans. Sirius was able to cause a little bit of commotion when he defeated MMA quite easily in Code A, but will he be able to prevail against the 3 Terran players that we have today? And of course, Supernova, if he is able to get out of the group today into Codes, that will be his 10th consecutive Code S participation.
Yeah, you will get the NST award, or the MJ Duck award, whichever you like to call it, for that. And we'll see if he can do it. It's not going to be an easy task with this many good players in the group. Now, this is, again, another Terran-dominated group, so Terran players have a lot more matchups to prepare for than their opponents, who can really focus on the Terrans, especially Sirius, who does not have to prepare for the Zerg versus Zerg matchup.
And here they are, the 2 of them. Flash to the left. A little bit of a weird angle. On the other hand, we have Seed today in the black jersey for GIM.
Flash has made so much money in StarCraft 1. He is one of the biggest names there's ever been, and it still continues today, even though StarCraft 2 has basically taken over in Korea. You have Seed, a champion, wasn't able to do it this season. He wants to get back into Code S.
It's going to be a very good match today. The only thing that you can say about Seed is that recently in the 3rd round of Code A, he didn't look all that good. He lost in a Protoss mirror match. That's the one matchup he does not have to play today. He has to play against Terrans and against 1 Zerg. So he would have practiced a lot for the matchup against Terran in particular. Let's see what he can do in Abyssal City, a map that is historically a little bit bad for Protoss. Too many possibilities for a Terran to drop the 3rd base, always exposed, but let's jump into the game. First game today at the Up and Downs Group D here at the GSL. We have Flash up against Seed, Terran versus Protoss. Abyssal City is our map, and the games are brought to you by Kaldor and Wolf. He starts to the right side of the map in red. A Terran player for KT will say it is
KT Flash.
His stance in the group called God in Purgatory by Team Liquid Riders.
Yeah, here we have him. Let's see what he can do today. A lot of fans want him in Codes. Can he make them happy? To the left side of the map we have his opponent, a former GSL champion. Starting for LGIM it is
LGIM Seed.
Seed, one of the newer successors in GSL, taking not this season, but the previous season, Season 3 of 2012. In Busan, taking out big fan favorite MC. It was a crazy PvP finals we got to see there.
Yeah. On the other hand, he lost at the hand of a Protoss player in the third round of Code A. He is also doing pretty well at the WCS Asia finals, but in the end he lost to Aurora. He's known for his matchup against Terran. His PvT is just incredible. So many Terran players in the last 2-3 months fell at his hand. Can he do it again today? He has to face 3 Terran players in this group. Will he win, or is his opponent going to take this first game? Abyssal City is a little bit Terran favored here. One of the advantages that Flash has over his opponent.
Yeah, the third base is so exposed. Now this is something that maybe Seed can use later on as well with Zealot run-bys, for example, but the Terran is going to have so much more potential to just run in with a few Marauders and Marines and Medivacs to that third base, and if the Protoss goes all the way down to that third, which is so far away, then you can drop in the main base as well. If you're really good at multi-prong harassment, it's going to be very difficult for a Protoss to take you out here.
Yeah, definitely. Flash, on the other hand, talking a little bit about the Code A history of both players, lost to Mini in the second round of Code A, so he was not successful against the Protoss player. Since then, most of the matches that he has played took place in the MLG vs Pro League Invitational. He has played quite a lot of games against Protoss. He was not really that successful against Alicia. The Invitational is a best of 2, so he tied with a 1-1 score against the Slayer's Protoss player. He was able to win against Oz though, and then against MC as well, without losing a single map. Therefore, a little bit of a so-so record. In total, if you look at all the games that he has played in StarCraft 2 against Protoss in televised matches, he has a very impressive 25 win against 8 loss ratio.
Yeah, he was actually one of the best players in individual league until he fell actually out of Code A into the Up&Downs, but otherwise he was undefeated in individual leagues for quite some time. Televised leagues, that is.
Yeah. Currently what we're seeing on the game here on Abyssal City is Flash with 2 barracks as a follow-up to his command center that he has just built. In total, now he has 3 barracks, is starting to take the gas, whereas Seed, on the other hand, is in one gateway and now is going straight into expand.
Look at this SCV, comes in here right at the moment the Nexus is planted, so he sees it and gets out with the SCV. He's not going to risk trying to get a scout in the main base. He knows it's very unlikely. Now what Flash has done here so far is deny the information that Seed has. He was able to block out the probe with that early depot, so that's why he has command center on the high ground, because he doesn't want a probe or a Stalker Zealot to come in and poke and see that he has a command center. So Seed has to play a little bit more defensively right now because he doesn't know what he's facing exactly.
Exactly. He wants to know what's going on. We will see a robotics fairly soon. He needs to be a bit safe here. On Abyssal City in general, we've seen a lot of one-base play too, or just trying to push your opponent and as far as possible in the early game, going for proxy. We've seen proxy robos, proxy Stargates.
Yeah, we've seen all sorts of proxies on this map, especially that bottom right location under Flash's base or to the top right of Seed's base. That's usually where you see it. In fact, Flash has not scouted that location, but he saw the Nexus, so he's going to be feeling pretty good.
Seed is not going for any kind of shenanigans right now. He's just playing it standard. Flash putting the command center now on the low ground in order to give him the mining from 2 mineral lines. Now we're going to see what exactly Flash's idea is. So far, he's just adding a double reactor to his barracks. He will have a lot of marine production. He's heading straight into Stim and could start with a little bit of marine pressure here. On the other hand, Seed, of course, with the first few sentries in position, so he can use the force fields need be, and he will follow after the robotics with 2 additional gateways that are currently already being warped in.
Yeah, he goes for Robo before gates. He wants to get that observer out ASAP, which is now being chronoed, and he really would like to pressure with Colossi, as soon as he figures out what's going on. Maybe with 1, there's the robotic support bay. He's actually just going to make it before scouting. This is a really smart choice because a lot of flexibility on this map. The reason why Colossi, I feel, are better than High Templar to go for first on this map is simply because the wide area on this map, there's so many different spaces to go through. With the Colossus, it's going to be good with your army no matter what. As long as you have Zealots in front of it, you've got force fields you can drop, you can make the terrain that way. But those units are not going to be as useful Templar are not going to be as useful as Colossi when the fight occurs at the third base potentially. So you want to at least control that location a little bit earlier before you bring those Templar out. And as such, I think Seed might actually go for multiple Colossi before getting that Twilight Council out.
Flash, on the other hand, started with an engineering bay here. He wants to get the upgrades first. He now builds his Starport 2 so that he can head into the Medivac production, but +1 is already being researched. It will give him a bit of an advantage over his opponent. Question, of course, being when does Seed, there it is, the 2 forges for the Protoss player. And if he chrono boosts well, he will get a lead in upgrades eventually.
Yes. And you do see the Observer was scanned here. Did not kill it. It was a slight miss. The rocks blocked him there. So Observer lives to scout another day.
Yeah, a wasted scan.
That's very unfortunate. That costs a lot of money. The one mule will mine approximately 270 minerals very quickly, and so those minerals will not be lost, but they won't be there as fast as Flash would have liked them to be.
A very passive game so far from both of them, not putting on too much aggression, but Flash decides that now it's time to move out on the map and try to take a bit of map control. He has a fairly nice army size here with a 35 army supply against 30. Seed just now warping in another round of units. He didn't get range upgrade so far though. He's heading into a +1/+1 with a double fortress that just completed, whereas Flash of course is now waiting for the Medivacs to support his army for the +1 attack upgrade that's nearly finished and combat shield.
Right now, Seed sees this army is quite large. He wants to actually engage with his Colossus now, but there's a really nice concave. Look at that Force of Stem. Excellent control here by Seed. Using 4 Force Shields and only gets 1 Marine, but look at all the damage done to those Marines.
And
stunned by Stem.
Yeah, and Combat Shield isn't done yet. So now the Medivacs finally arrive, and they definitely have the work cut out for them. Yeah. So at this point, that was really well done by Siege, just stalling this attack a little bit. Flash is still ahead in overall supply, but with the first Colossus that he has and the second one popping out, Siege can push him back. Still no range started though. There it is.
Yeah. You know, he wanted to get the second Colossus out as soon as possible, as well as getting those upgrades. That's why he didn't afford it. He's got the Twilight Council coming up now as well. He's going to need 3 Force Fields here if he wants to delay his attack a little bit longer, but he may just fight.
Flash could drop in the main base. He sees now with the factory that there are no units on the high ground. He could start to drop, but Flash stims again and runs in nice Force Fields by Seed, and Seed now warped in a few Stalkers onto the high ground because he wants to prevent this possible drop.
Yeah. So he actually used 4 Force Fields there. He wants to completely deny Flash from getting up that ramp. Range is getting closer to being done, but it's not halfway there yet. Flash does have the upgrade advantage. He's got +1. One about to finish. For Seed, he wants to buy a little bit more time here. And he's going to fight. The Force Fields are decent. He's got to pull back a little bit, though. Flash with really nice splitting around those Force Fields. Again, beautiful Force Fields by Seed here, trapping those units out. That was actually art, what we just saw.
Really well done, and he takes down so many of these Marines. No chance for the light armored units, and not a single one of those Colossi was really pressured. Flash was not able to do too much here. He's trying to build a third base with all this aggression that he's now putting on his opponent, but Seed snuck one of his probes to the bottom left of the map and is also starting an Nexus. His range upgrade was not even completed in the last fight, but he shielded his Colossi very well, didn't lose a single one of them, and now range is about to complete, whereas Flash, of course, needs to deal with those Colossi as fast as possible, gets more and more Vikings now in the game.
These two Zealots are coming down to try to pressure that third base location. Not only is he spotted, but he will lose the pylon as well. Unfortunate for Seed, but his 2 true upgrades way ahead of Flash right now, whose armory is only halfway completed. Third Nexus is going to be a little bit late, but the tech that he's building is going to make it okay for him. He does not have charge. There it is, just started on the production tab. Wants to be able to get all these upgrades out, and eventually, within the next few minutes, when he takes those 5th and 6th gases, he will want to get those storms out as well. Right now, he's actually wanting to be the aggressor. He wants to catch Flash out of position on the middle of the map while defending his third base.
The Harvest account is better for Flash. He also has the mules at his disposal, therefore the economy for him is a little bit better, especially with his third mule now being available. But the upgrades are definitely one of the advantages that Seed will have over his opponent in the next fight. In fight number 1 already, he had the additional armor upgrade, but right now he's chrono boosting both his forges. We have him on halfway done with +2/+2. And you can see that Flash started the same upgrades, but there will be a timing window for Seed where he can capitalize on this.
Seed has a spy observer following that army around. He's known everywhere the army is. He's got a second observer that shows the other location just in case there's a split off from the main group. And so this has really allowed him to move his units appropriately where he wants it to be.
Another scout here with one of the Zealots. The Marine at the bottom left was taken down by probes, which is probably the most humiliating way you can be killed in this game.
I think so. Unless you're a worker yourself, I suppose. Marine does find the pylon to the top left, which will force another Zealot to be warped in. He will clean it up. Flash has a pretty large army that he's going around to the bottom right with. He's only up about 10 army supply, but he's got a nice group of units here. He's got the right ratio of Vikings. It's 9-4 here.
But look at the timing. Charge about to be done, and +1, +2/+2 as well. If Seed is able to buy himself a bit more time, he will have all these small advantages, but the position is way better for Flash.
Exactly. The positioning and the ratio of Vikings is perfect. He gets out of there. Now Seed is in dire straits. He's going to have to do, he's got a few choices now. He can try to re-expand, even double expand, or he can go for a big follow-up attack. He's got make 4 pylons right now because he's supply blocked before he can make anything else. This is a very unfortunate situation for him because he knows Flash has that third base up. He's had it for a long time. He even had his base late. Now he's not mining from there. He's got the better upgrades, but for how long? He doesn't have the economy to keep producing units. He can't get Storm Tech out and really afford that.
Yeah, his worker count is really low in this game. He's only at 49, and now, of course, mining from 2 mineral lines. He gets the +3/+3, and this will be... Flash, even if he starts his upgrades immediately, will be far behind the upgrades, but this alone will not win him the game. Seed really needs to find a good position to engage and to have the perfect timing here. Flash is now getting this insane ratio, getting the upgrade, the attack upgrade for those Vikings, and he has quite a lot of them at this point. He has 13 already, he's getting 3 additional ones, and there they are, starting to fight. The Archon and the Stalkers trying to force them back, but here comes Flash, stims, force fields. Not catching too many units, but the Vikings are being destroyed.
Yeah, the Vikings are getting those Colossi down. Once the Colossi fade away, this is going to be a big problem for Seed because he does not have Storm.
Seed is dropping in supply. He doesn't have Storm ready indeed, and now he's down to 100 supply. Flash is at 180 and is chasing him. He's moving in, stimming again, trying to take the Protoss player down where he stands.
The Vikings can land here if he wants them to. Looks like he wants to keep him floated in case a Colossus pops out, but it looks like there's no chance of that. Flash's unit's a little bit low on hit points, but the medevac's healing up. Seed's army in a choke point here. It can barely even move, and it looks like this is going to be the end of him in game number 1.
Seed doesn't have anything left. There are no Colossi. He's building another one, but that won't be necessary because this game is over. 50 supply per Seed, and Flash is going to win his first game here.
GG! Flash looking dominant here. Great unit move outs, maintaining the proper ratio. And, you know, Flash's games against Protoss, we've seen from him already, really show that he likes to heavily commit to Vikings, even if he doesn't know if his opponent has continued Colossus production. And in this case, he played the same style. But Seed didn't switch to Templar until very late. He wanted to get that third base up still beforehand, and I think that's one of the reasons why this is a bad map. It's so hard for Protoss to do this against Terran. Without Colossi, you're kind of forced to get Colossi to defend that third base. Then if your opponent just makes Vikings and hits the right angle on you, you're going to die.
Yeah, very great positioning here by Flash. Well-played game. Seed not really looking weak here, but definitely struggling. Of course, one of the reasons being the map, but we've seen him in the past in this matchup, and he's such a dominating force. He couldn't show it against his opponent, though. Flash takes the win, and now we're heading into our first Terran versus Terran of the day. Game number 2 will be between Supernova and Ryung.
This is going to be pretty awesome. TBT here. It's such a cool story we have here. We've got the Brood War legend. We have Supernova, was teamless for a while. Now he wants his ST award. We've got Ryung still on the Team Slayers. You have Sirius, the underdog of the group. I mean, we just saw, of course, last game Seed, the GSL champion as well from a recent season. What five players could have been better to put in one group? It's hard to say, man.
The Slayers team is still around, and for me this is always a bit... I worry a little bit about the Slayers players in these times because there's just so much drama regarding the Slayers team and the disbanding. So at this point, how much does it really affect a player like Ryung? Can he play the game as he used to? Can he really completely focus on it? Or is he occupied with all these things that are happening that have to affect him at some point?
Yeah, certainly so. I feel every player is affected in some way, maybe some less than others, but definitely some more than others, but there's no way to escape it. You're on that team, you're going to have to leave that team, you're going to have to make choices.
The commotion alone that the news, the announcement caused in the scene was just...
It was immense. Yeah, it was immense. I was shocked.
And I was definitely not the only one. So here we go, game number 2. It is Supernova versus Ryung here at the GSL Up and Downs. Call on.